How easy is the average public golf course to a top-ranked professional? Today, I will be attempting to break the course record at Cedar Crest Golf Course in only one try.
What a diabolical golf course right now.
And I'll be playing without any previous knowledge of how this course plays.
Oh, this is where these tough little shots can get you.
So far this season, I've achieved one course record and had one failure, which means I only have 4 attempts remaining to reach my goal of breaking 3 course records this season. And with the PGA Championship right around the corner, there is no better way to get prepared than to go dominate this course record.
Oh, just be good.
Cedar Crest Golf Course is full of history and character. It even hosted the PGA Championship in 1927, won by Walter Hagen himself. Will I beat this course record, or will these historical grounds prove difficult enough to get the best of me? Welcome back to the Course Record Series.
Darius, what's up? How you doing? You doing all right?
Yes, sir.
Good. Well, I'm excited to be here today, Cedar Crest. This is an interesting test of golf. I've heard there's a lot of history behind it.
Definitely.
It's a Tillinghast design. I have to ask, what is the course record?
It is 62 and it's held by Lee Carter.
They told me 63. Son of a gun.
62.
It's going to be even more of a difficult test now. 61. Oh my gosh, I got to beat it. Okay. Now it's just on me. And if I fail, I suck at golf.
You get a nice length.
Yeah, it's 6,800 yards. The wind's nice to me. I make some putts today. It's got good conditions, seems like.
Getting dialed in for the PGA.
Getting dialed in for the PGA. Yeah, guys, this is, Masters did not go so well.
You don't say.
Yeah, so.
You're rocking the new Crushers Nanos today?
Oh yeah, got the new Nanos.
Do you like those ones better or the baby blues? Because I can't decide.
You like the baby blues?
I don't know.
You know, look at my shirt, Chase. Guys, I wear navy, so you know which one I like. The Nano collection's now live on Reebok.com. I will say, Chase was a real big advocate for the azaleas. He loved the flowers.
All right, hole 1.
Okay, hole 1, course record, Cedar Crest, host of the PGA Championship. Course record 62, I gotta go low today. Dogleg right, par 5. This looks like the longest hole in the golf course. I've got Straka book, which is really nice. That'll be helpful. I'm gonna pump it down there. Just a little left. Hit the car path.
Oh.
It hit the car path?
Yeah, it's way down there.
Yeah, okay. Very nice. A little over to the right. Ooh, gotta play a little bit of a cut. Interesting. Oh, wow. This will be an interesting shot. Hopefully I can go over. I might be able to go over. 212. I think I need to play that cut 6 iron. Yeah, I still gotta cut this, dang it. I haven't really practiced many cuts recently, so hopefully this goes better than I expect.
Come on.
That's fine though. Just needed it to cut more. It's a good swing. Have a good chance. Get up and down for birdie to start off nicely out here. Golf course is in really good condition for a public golf course. I'm actually quite impressed. Greens are slow and grainy, but that's what you're gonna expect at public golf courses. I'm like right here. It's going left to right and then kind of down away from me just a bit. Okay, I got my landing spot. I'm landing it right where the yellow strip is. Yeah, I got this. Sit.
Oh.
Sit. Okay. That's makeable. All right, nice birdie. Good way to get it started. 1 under through 1. Nice cut shot on the first hole. This golf course is quite quirky. Like there's some weird angles apparently out here, so you got to watch out and make sure you're hitting the right shot shapes into these holes, especially with such small greens.
What do you got up there?
3-wood, 320 to the hole, so I've got to pound town this. Whew. Come on, right over the trees. Get left. I think it's just a little right. I mean, I was crushed too. We'll see where that is. I think it's in a fine spot by the green. The wind's hard off the left right now, so I tried to draw that into the wind and just didn't draw it enough. But that's the game, right? You just sometimes don't get what you want. You don't always get what you want. I'll tell you this, drive hydration's now out, and that wasn't too bad of a drive. This new hydration drink is pretty sick. I created it from scratch with them, and there's grape, there's mandarin orange, and strawberry lemonade.
Bucked Up Drive Hydration only features the ingredients that matter. There's also no sugar and no carbonation. Drive Hydration is now available. Go get some.
See what I got here. A little into the grain. Braking right to left, gotta fly it on the second dark patch. Go! That's not bad. Just a little harder and that could have gone in the hole. Got a new putter in the bag right now. New shaft. Trying just shafts in there. So hopefully stabilizes it more. May not, you never know. But it feels good from all my testing I've done so far. But feel versus real is the whole thing. This should be right center to right edge. Brake, you son of a gun. Oh. Yep, that didn't break. That could cost me. Oh, shoot. 1 under through 2. Got a hard par 3 coming up. Should have made birdie there. Not good, guys. That's not good. 206, 205, into the wind.
Dangerous amount of water.
Yeah, a lot of water on the left.
Oh, looks good.
Oh no. How'd that go so long? I'm surprised the wind didn't hurt it more. Like I only hit that 1030. I only went to 1030, so I don't know what happened. Like I hit a good shot and it just did not get hit by the wind. It almost went off the right. I mean, it's into the wind and I hit a 215-yard shot. I did not hit it harder than that. I went forever, so looks like I got to get up and down, have a tough up and down here. All right, this is not easy here. 14 yards. See if I've got some magic hands here. Yeah, I mean, that's not easy. That was a great shot. Okay, nice par. 1 under through 3. That's apparently the tough part of the golf course, so we'll see. We'll see if that's the truth, but I had a really good 6 iron in there, didn't get rewarded, and then missed a small little 3-footer in the last. 1 under through 3, guys. Dogleg right. I'm gonna squeeze the right side, get a little close to the right-hand side, because I think that's the play. Wind's off the right, helping. Yep, that's it. That's it. It's fine. Did you see it?
Did you see? Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
it. Did you see it?
What, did you think that was cool? I would.
Well, I'm just never. I've filmed thousands of golf shots and never seen it do that. The tee.
There was actually a video on the LPGA where somebody, I think it was Lydia Ko, hit her shot, flipped up, and then stuck in her back pocket. Hello, turn the cart. That was a beefy drive right there. Sort of disappointed. It would have been nice to go birdie, 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 or eagle, birdie, birdie, or something like that. Get 4 under right off the bat. Oh, but then you're expected to make it too. That's kind of tough. Expected to break the course record. Yeah. Spins back. You don't want to be short because it rolls off 7%, 6%. Okay. Okay, that's an 80-yard shot.
Think you can probably handle this one?
Well, I just said missing a 3-footer, so if I miss this. Okay, thank goodness I didn't miss that. That'd have been instant karma. But you never know. That's the best part about golf, is that one day may be good, one day may be
2 under through 4.
2 under through 4. It's a pretty straightaway par 4. I'm just gonna hit it right down the middle of the fairway. A little bit of a draw. Hopefully the wind takes it back. Have a nice shot for birdie.
Is this drivable?
No, it's not drivable. But I'm gonna try to drive it. No, it's just off the left. If it was downwind, I might be able to. But right down the middle of the fairway. Wind off the left.
That's a missile.
Yeah, right there. All right.
Dead straight.
That was a good drive, huh? 56. Almost a 60-yard shot. 930. Dang it, a little past. It's a good shot, but a little past. I was hoping I could have a nice little tap in, but gotta make a putt now.
Break.
Oh my
No.
gosh! Did you see that? I thought that was going right and then it broke left. Son of a gun. 200 through 5. Shoot.
That one looked like it was just going to just trundle right in.
I thought it was too, and it didn't. That's disappointing.
Ooh, another par 3.
81 playing 88. 87. I don't know if it's into the wind or not.
What do you
I can't tell.
what do you predict you're gonna hit it to here?
I don't know. I got to think about this real quick. 87. This is like into the wind. It's off the left and into the wind, just a fraction. I'm hoping within 5 feet. That'd be the goal. 1030. Oh, just right next to it. I think that's pin high too. That was a good swing. That was a good swing, guys. I'm hitting it way better now. This is where these tough little shots can get you. Oh, it bounced to the right as well. Shoot. But time to chip it in. Shoot. I was really focused on that, guys. I don't know if you could tell. Could you tell? I couldn't. I didn't know where I was. Well, that's 200 through 6, guys. Thought I made the last 2 shots, but you know what? You can always dream, and I was dreaming nice. I think the next hole is a par 5. Par 5. It's time to step up. Actually do something today. What an amazing designed golf course. I'm serious. It's super simple, straightforward, opportunistic, but deceptive and diabolical. I love it. I think it's unbelievable. It's a really cool golf course. Tillinghast designs are amazing. I don't know why golf courses have to be so big, wide, and expansive now. This is just as much fun, if not more fun, than really big, long golf courses.
All right, what do we got here?
It's a par 5. Dogleg right. There's a tree to the right. See that?
You want to make a little prediction here?
Are we making a prediction? Are we going for a prediction? Kalshi prediction?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's
Tell me
see,
about it.
See how far you can hit it for dinner.
Okay.
Exactly, on the
Oh,
dot.
it's into the wind though. Oh, so it's going to be whoever's closest.
Whoever's closest to exactly how far you hit it.
Well,
yeah.
I can control that.
Yeah, well,
not
see,
fair.
that's not fair.
I know, right?
All right, so you need to do it
I'm going to hit it as
honestly.
hard as I can. I'll do my best to hit it as hard as I can and then decide. And I've got a huge advantage here because I know how far I hit it. The difficulty is it's into the wind off the left, and we don't really know where it's going to go. I think it's going to fly 312 yards. Or it's going to go 312 yards.
I don't know if you got the juice in you. You kind of look weak today. I'm going to go 304.
That's pretty good too. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to pump this though. Should be good.
How'd it feel?
It felt like a 304.
I'm glad you guessed first because I was going to go like more like 330. I was feeling
Oh
kinda
man, I'd have
juicy.
gone under that for sure.
Yeah.
No way it goes that far today. No way, Jose.
As I drive up to see how far my ball went, let's hear from this season's course record sponsor, Kalshi. Kalshi is a peer-to-peer prediction market where you can trade on real-world outcomes. From the NBA playoffs to movie ratings, you can trade on almost anything. They even have a market based on how many course records I can break this year. Kalshi is available nationwide, and you can get a $20 bonus if you sign up now with the link in the description.
How far did it go?
552 and 260. That's 290, so you got it.
What was it on the dot?
255. So it was 297.
297.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I think I hit the tree.
I want steak.
You want a steak, sick. Gosh dang it. How did you win that?
Ooh.
What'd that hit?
Did I hit a branch?
I think my club hit the branch. I think that's what happened. I think we're okay though. Just a little left. He's looking like it's short too, so it should be fine up there. I went too far. I thought that was better than that. Good shot though. I was trying to make it. Gave it some speed. Now I'm left with a downhill right to left breaker, which isn't exactly what I want on a par 5 that's reachable. Goes right. Misread that, guys. That's unfortunate, dude. Man. 2 under through 7. Not the way we want it to be, but life goes on. 290 playing 282. It's just, oh man, the wind is like this. It's got to be 5 wood, I think.
What's making you think that?
5 wood.
The wind's gonna help it?
Yeah, I think the wind's gonna help it. If it hurts it, I'm screwed. But 3 wood is just not the play. Swinging soft. Here. I don't know. We'll see where that is. Hit a good shot. This is such a cool course because like you can drive a lot of the greens and it's diabolical. It's not just like a pitch and putt sort of thing. It's like you've got to decide, which is part of the Tillinghast design. I think it's just a little bit right. I hope I'm okay. Hope I'm fine. We'll see though. Oh, short, it hit the tree? Son of a gun. Well, I'll get relief.
It's not too bad, actually.
No. You get relief out of this, so. I tried to squeeze that drive on the last shot because I didn't know if I can get that 5 wood all the way there, so I kind of like pushed forward and down and just drifted to the right. Right distance. Oh my God. And that's why I'm a YouTube golfer right there. Dang it. Pushed it right. Wow, I'm sucking today. It's 2 under through 8 now, guys. Looking a little bleak.
Definitely not playing
whatever.
bad.
No, I'm not playing bad. It's just not getting the breaks I
Just gotta
need.
start rolling.
Okay, I'm just gonna go 1030. Keep it under the wind as much as possible. See where to miss it. This is the thing that most people don't realize, is that you gotta know what's up there by the pin. So number 9's in that back middle portion. So you don't wanna be long right, you wanna be more short in front of it. 85, just a 1030, just under 1030. It's not bad. Got a putt for birdie. It was a good distance. I'm actually really pleased with how that came off and where the ball started. Good shot for this hole, but you know, my mistakes were on the past few holes, so I gotta make up for it. Gotta make a putt. 11, 33 feet. Up a 4, 3. It's pretty straight though. Jeez. A little slow. All right. That's par. 2 under in the front 9. Means I've got to go 7 under in the back 9. Not out of the question, but I've got to jump it up. Do something special. Yeah, there's a driver down here. 10. Driver right down the middle. This is a tight little hole. I like it. This is cool. What a cool golf course. I'd come back here and play for sure. I just want to drive some greens. I'm craving drivable hole. Wind is off the right. Oh no. I wasn't thinking I needed to play it super far out there. Hopefully I've got a shot over there. It doesn't look like it, but we'll see. Again, it's just not knowing the golf course, and I needed to sit over it and think, you've got to be more right with this wind, because it's pumping off the right now. Yeah, it's not good. I should have been way farther right. Son of a gun. Hopefully I have a shot. You never know. 144 playing 143. I got into the clear over here. This is a 44 shot. I got to hit a cut around the trees. 144. I feel like it's going to jump a little bit. Open face jumped, 10 o'clock shot. Go. Yeah, didn't get up there. Make it up and down. Diabolical little golf course. If you don't hit it in the fairway, you're kind of screwed. All right, 38 yards. I've got Chase. I've got to get this up and down. This is make or break right here. 40 yards. Hopefully that runs out. I feel like it should. Yeah. Well, that saves my day a little bit. Alrighty, good up and down for par. And sometimes the best holes are not the ones you make eagle or birdie on in a course record series. Sometimes it's the ones that keep the momentum going a little bit, like that one. And that's what it is in majors, like in big tournaments. Like, you're not always going to be perfect. Like, I didn't actually hit that bad of a drive, just didn't play the wind for what it should do. It's just not thinking about it correctly. And so guys, like, it's not always about the good shots you hit. It's the ones where you get up and down from 40 yards on a 6,800 yard golf course. I suck. 97. This is gonna be a full 200 yard shot. Got to commit here because this is just off the left, yeah. You're right. All right. Not bad. I will take that. Got to make a putt here now. Let's play some golf. Time to get bucked up, baby. I thought that might be short, I thought it might be long. I don't know. But it ended up being fine. Let's knock this sucker in. Come on, Bryson.
I feel strongly about this one.
All right, 18 feet. Down to 2.5. Play 70% of the way. I don't see anything to it. Greens are slow. Thought I actually made that. 2 under through 11. You know, there's better things that could be happening right now, but I'm playing good golf. It's just not going my way today.
You should make it start going your way.
316, uphill 15. Playing 330. Going right over the left edge of this cart path with a nice little draw. Oh, just be good. Be good. Do you think, Sally Ann? And the crowd goes wild. Oh my gosh, it went in the hole. You predict that?
I predict that it's about 33.5 yards short.
What? Well, guys, that was nice. Hopefully it's pretty close. We'll see. What a good drive, though. I don't know where it is. I have no idea. But I hit a good drive. Very good drive. Where is it? Long? No, it's gone. Wow. Jeez, that's unlucky. I see it landed right there. Man.
Well, you weren't short.
Yeah, you could say that again, Chase.
Oh, be your day. But it's not.
8 feet. Straight puts here. Straight puts there. And play at 10 feet. 2 inches out. 2.5 inches out. Fucking hell. I broke a lot that time.
It's still possible.
Yeah, he's got to eagle out or something like that.
Basically just birdie out.
Eh,
And an eagle. Birdies and an eagle.
yeah, maybe. Well, we'll see. All right, par 4. This looks like a cool hole. Thinking of playing it a little bit lower this time. Just did a nice, normal shot. Come on, wind. Where is that?
On the tree line.
Which
But those 2 identical looking trees. Small ones.
small ones?
Yeah, the 2 small ones.
Oh, it didn't come back left of that?
No. Well, they landed before them.
Oh, okay. All right.
It might have had a kick left. But basically on those trees.
Okay. I want something that kind of rolls a little bit more. 90 yards. I wanna have like 5 yards short. Oh, I'm gonna try and land this 5 yards short here. It's out of the rough, so it should jump a little bit. This should go 90 yards at a 10 o'clock, downhill, a little downwind, 85. All right, just under. So you want to be pretty much straight on it. Well, that didn't knuckle or anything. That's the tough part right now, is just judging those lies and how it's going to come out. And out of that, I mean, it felt like it was pretty reasonable, like it was going to jump, and I hit the shot and it came out almost dead. It's been happening to me recently, not judging the lies correctly. 2, 3, so 4, so 12, so 40, 45 foot here. They should go just a little left to right. Dude, what is going on? Well, 2 under through 13. Got a par 5 coming up. We got 2 more par 5s, so make a couple eagles and shoot 6 under, something respectable at least. Looks like I've got to go just inside the tree line here. I feel like that's the play. Come on, let's finish off. Nice solid round. Oh no, do you see that bounce?
Yeah.
That bounced so hard left. Felt good. 76 playing up 4 yards, 180. Gonna hit a 9-iron. That was a great shot. They said that it landed in the middle of the fairway and went over here. So clearly you got to hit a cut shot on this hole. Let's play 185, 1030 8-iron. This is perfect. No, look at the wind. We're not bunker. Man, I hit that really good. That wind is whipping. That was a good swing. Another good swing. I didn't pull it either, so I'm happy about it. Just didn't play the wind correctly. I really should have played it out there to the right more. Darn it. Let's get up and down for birdie. You know, that's the thing about golf. It's like, it's such an ebb and flow game, man. And I feel like I'm hitting it well. I'm playing well. Striking it well. And I'm just getting absolutely, normally like that should be on the left side of a green or something, and now I'm like short-sided, no shot, rough, probably screwed. That's the one shot that I'd like to understand, is when I'm hitting like those flop shots, sometimes they just shoot directly right, and sometimes they don't. 7 feet, this looks like it's going a little right to left. All right, that went right at the end, that's cool. Well, that's another par and a par 5. 2 under through 14. Dang, that's not good. Another par 3. 211, down 10, yeah, 1 downwind. Probably just gonna 9 iron. 200, downwind 15. So just a smooth one of these. Oh, wind's off the left. Sick. Well, I'm lucky that it's wet right here because it stopped it from going all the way back there. So, little fortune, 9 yards. I need to land it 2 yards on.
Go in, go in. No! I thought it was just gonna
Nope,
curl
it didn't.
in.
Good par though. 2 under through 15. Into the wind, off the left. Should be a nice par 5.
Yep. Perfectly in line with Hogan before the cart pass.
Yeah, I see that. 192. I think it's gonna be 8 or 9 iron. 92 into the wind. I don't think it's gonna jump, in my opinion. Oh, that knuckled so hard. That is so far gone. All right, 15 yards to where I gotta land it. What a diabolical golf course right now. Straight downwind. That's really all I could do here. Not much more I could do. 20 feet. Hopped, hoppity hop hop. Another par. 2 under through 16. Okay, 190. Tight hole. It's cool, the greens are small. That's the one thing I like about the Tillinghast design, is they're difficult greens because they're so small. Yeah, it's just cross. I'm just gonna play 90, or 90, 85, full one of these, full 9 iron. My full 9 iron goes 185. That's fine. It's a good shot.
That was pretty good.
I'm hitting it great. I'm playing great. That's sometimes the golf world. That was a good swing, and it's great. Tillinghast makes you think. Like you see the holes, and oh, it looks easy, and then it's diabolical with the slopes around it. So, quite an interesting test of golf, guys. Right center. Thank goodness. Oh, I made a birdie.
Yeah.
On the toughest hole out here. But what a cool golf course. I could see why it hosted a major championship back in the day. I mean, if we had old school clubs, hickory clubs, and a balata ball and everything, this would be a diabolical test of golf. Uphill, downhill, blind shots, greens that are tiny. I mean, that's why it hosted it.
Just like that, we're on 18.
Yep, I don't have much to show for you today, but I'll give you a nice little drive to finish off. 282 into the wind. It's a cool hole. Tight hole. But time to bomb driver at the left, that left tree left of the clubhouse. Did I hit him?
Seems like a bomb.
Yeah, it was a good swing. Injury to insult.
Just sprinkle it on.
Yeah, 95. But I'm actually pretty lucky being here. It could be a way worse lie. So I'd say I'm fortunate.
Well, that was good.
Was it? I don't know. Is it over
It
the
was
green?
pretty good.
Well, thank you.
I thought it landed right by the pin, and then that guy started clapping.
Oh, well, that's nice. Too freaking late. Knock it in to salvage some sort of decency in your life. And I would lip this out or something. Definitely would happen. Yep. There you go. That's how you shoot 3 under. Congratulations.